Hello students, today we are going to start with the mechanism of breathing. In the earlier videos, we have already completed the definition of respiration, the types of respiration, and after that we have seen also the human respiratory system, how the different organs form the human respiratory system. So after that we have to see the mechanism of breathing. So mechanism of breathing that include two steps. What are the steps? The first one is inspiration and the second one, that is expiration, or we can also call it as the exhalation. Okay. So in this mechanism of breathing, this actually is the first step, how the gases from the atmosphere will enter inside our body. Then the gases will go to the lung. In the region of the lung, the gases will be exchanged from the lung to the blood vessel. Then the blood will take the gas into the tissues. Tissues will release the carbon dioxide. The blood that will take the carbon dioxide once again to the lung, and lung will collect all the carbon dioxide. That carbon dioxide will be removed outside. That will include the process of expiration, right? So just see, in this mechanism of breathing, these two steps. Inspiration, this is actually one active process. Okay, so remember, it is an active process. But if you see the expiration, this is a passive process. Now what is the active process and passive process? See, in the active process we will involve the muscles, that muscles, diaphragm, they are included, they are actually working in the process of inspiration. But whenever it comes to expiration, withdrawal of the any action of the muscles, that will be expiration. In the expiration, no muscles will be active. They will actually relax. They will not work. So that's why we will have expiration. So in this active process, that is in the process of inspiration, a number of muscles will be involved. So first of all, we need to see that in the inspiration, how actually the gases will enter inside our lung. Okay. So first of all, you just see, this is the, suppose the structure I will show here, that this is the lung. Okay. This is the lung. Okay. Now in the region, this lung, suppose this is the lung, then just behind that what we have, one very important structure. I mentioned already in the structure, that just behind that we have one structure, that is the diaphragm. Okay, so this is the diaphragm. The diaphragm normal shape, this is the diaphragm. The normal shape of the diaphragm is dome shaped. Okay, so normally, if it is no inspiration, then normally what we have, the dome shaped diaphragm. Okay, so this diaphragm, that will be normally dome shaped. Okay, now the process of inspiration will be involved. So first thing we need to know, that this diaphragm, that is actually attached to the rib cage. Okay, so just above that what we have, the ribs, isn't that? So with this, and here we have the vertebral column. Okay, so this is the vertebral column. So with the vertebral column, what we are going to have, the muscles that is attaching the diaphragm, that will attach to the diaphragm, that will be normally present. It is in the relaxed state. Okay, so these muscles that attach the diaphragm with the bones, that will be known as the phrenic muscle. Okay, so this is known as the phrenic muscle, or it is also known as the radial muscle also. Okay, now just see here, in between the ribs we are also going to have another type of muscle, that is known as the external intercostal muscle. So this way we have the external intercostal muscle. Okay, so this is the intercostal muscle. Okay, now this three, that is the diaphragm, then phrenic muscle and the external intercostal muscle, they are present like this, that will involve in the process of inspiration, and after that we will have the gases to enter inside our lung. So first of all, just see what happened. This is actually a neural process. Neurons, actually the brain that gives the stimulus, and after that, what happened? This diaphragm, they actually get this stimulus, and after that, the diaphragm get flat. Okay, diaphragm gets flat. Okay, so remember the diaphragm, whenever it contracts. So remember, if it is the diaphragm, that diaphragm become flat. Okay, whenever it contract, what will happen? This diaphragm, earlier the normal shape is dome shape, now it become flat. Then after that, this phrenic muscle, they will also contract, and this external intercostal muscle, that will also contract. So whenever this external intercostal muscle contract and the phrenic muscle or the radial muscle, that will also contract, then what will happen? The rib cage, okay, so this lungs, they are covered by the rib cage. So this rib cage volume, that will actually expand. Okay, that will expand, that will actually elevate. Okay, and that will be like this. Okay, so what will happen? This much volume from this side, this much volume from this side, and this much volume from this side, that will increase. Okay, so what is happening? See, first of all, normally what is happening to the phrenic muscle? That phrenic muscle in the normal state, that is in the relaxed state, it will contract. Okay, and also the external intercostal muscle, okay, that will also contract. So whenever this muscle, that is the phrenic muscle and the external intercostal muscle, they contract, then what will happen? The rib cage, it is present this way, this rib cage will elevate and expand. Okay, that will help the rib cage to expand. So rib cage will expand. Okay, so whenever the rib cage is expanding, what will happen? That the volume of the lung, that will increase. Okay, so whenever this rib cage is expanding, that means the volume of lung, that will increase. And we know that whenever the volume of the lung increases, what will happen to the pressure? You know that pressure is inversely proportional to the volume. So that's why if the volume is increasing, then pressure will decrease. So whenever the volume of the lung is increasing, that lead to the decrease in the pressure. Okay, decrease in the pressure inside the lung as compared to the atmosphere. So pressure is decreased in the lung. Okay, inside the lung, the pressure will decrease as compared to the atmosphere. So atmospheric pressure is higher, and internally inside the lung, the pressure inside the lung is decreased. Right? So that's why what will happen, the gas that we breathe, we take, we inspirate, that will enter from the respiratory tract to the lung. Okay, so the gases from outside we will able to inspirate, and the gas will enter inside our lung. So this is the process, that is the mechanism of inspiration. As it is the active process, what happened? First of all, to the diaphragm normally is dome shape, it become flat. Who make the diaphragm flat? That is the phrenic or the radial muscle. So the radial muscle, whenever they will contract, then what will happen? Suppose this is the diaphragm. So from this side, what is attaching? The phrenic muscle. So phrenic muscle will contract. So whenever the phrenic muscle will contract, the diaphragm, that will get flat. So whenever diaphragm get flat, then what happened? At that same time, the external intercostal muscle, that will also contract. So whenever, suppose this is a rib cage, the intercostal muscle, that is going to contract, then what will happen? That whole rib cage will elevate and expand it. So whenever this will expand, what will happen to the volume of the lung? That volume of the lung will increase, that lead to the decrease in the pressure inside the lung as compared to the atmosphere. So that's why whenever we inspirate, the gas will directly enter via the respiratory tract inside the lung, and we will able to have the inspiration. So the first step, that is inspiration, is completed, as it is the active process. Muscles are involved, right? Now after that we will see the next one, that is the expiration. So this is inspiration, and after that we will see the expiration. So in the expiration, what is happening? Already what we know, that the diaphragm is flat, right? And here this lung which is present, which is lying above the diaphragm, that is also have increased volume, isn't that? So that's why we had the inspiration. Just earlier the expiration, we had the inspiration. So in this time, what will happen at the time, this phrenic muscle, they will relax. Okay, so in this inspiration, the phrenic muscle will contract, and this phrenic muscle will relax to carry out expiration. Okay, so phrenic muscle will relax. So phrenic muscle will relax, and the external intercostal muscle. So external intercostal muscle, that will also relax. Okay, and whenever the diaphragm gets relaxed, so earlier due to the contraction of the phrenic muscle, diaphragm was flat. Now due to the relaxation of the phrenic muscle, the diaphragm once again become dome shaped. So it become dome shaped, right? So whenever the diaphragm get dome shaped, what will happen? The relaxation of the external intercostal muscle, which is earlier like out and expanding, now it will contract and they will depress. So what will happen? The lung, that will also decrease its volume. So you can see this external intercostal muscle, that will relax. Okay, that will relax. So what will happen? The volume from this side, and from this side is decreasing, isn't that? That makes in decrease in the volume. So volume is decreased, right? Pressure instead will increase inside the lung. Okay, as compared to the atmospheric pressure. Okay, so as compared to the atmospheric pressure, inside the lung we will have high pressure. So as we have high pressure due to the decrease in the volume, what will happen to the gas? The gas will move from the region of higher concentration to the lower concentration. Earlier what happened? In the atmosphere, you can see in the atmosphere the pressure was higher, and inside the lung the pressure was decreased. So that's why the gases will move from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. So that's why the gases have entered inside the lung. Now what is happening? In the atmosphere the pressure is constant, isn't that? The pressure remains same. But what is happening inside the lung? The pressure get increased. Whenever the pressure is increased, then what will happen? As compared to the atmospheric pressure, so in the atmosphere, as compared to the lung, the pressure decreases, isn't that? And what we know, this is the law of nature, that the gases that will move from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. So that's why the gases which is having more pressure inside the lung, they will go outside. Okay, according to the rule of nature. So the gases which is present inside the lung, which basically have carbon dioxide, that will move outside. This is the process of expiration. Okay, so one thing you have to remember, you just need to remember that the gases move from the region of higher concentration, okay, to the lower concentration. Okay, remember, the movement of the gases will occur always from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. Earlier in the inspiration, what happened? In the atmosphere, pressure was high, and due to the increase in the volume, pressure decreases inside the lung. So that's why the gases enter. Okay, and in the process of expiration, what happened? Volume decreases, and as the volume of the thoracic cavity decreases, what happened to the pressure? Pressure increases. So as the pressure increases, the gas from the lung, it will just remove, repelled, exhaled outside to the atmosphere once again, right? So this is the process of expiration. So we have completed the first step, that is the normal external respiration, that is the mechanism of breathing, where inspiration and expiration are the two steps. Inspiration is an active process and expiration is a passive process. Why it is active process in inspiration? Because the diaphragm, phrenic muscle, external intercostal muscle, they contract. So that makes the increase in the volume of the thoracic cavity. The lung, which decrease the volume, so that's why which will increase the volume, and that's why the pressure decreases, and we will have inspiration. And exactly opposite will happen in expiration, because here the phrenic muscle relaxes, the external intercostal muscle relaxes, diaphragm which also become relaxed. So whenever it relaxes, it become dome shape. So that makes the volume to decrease. Volume, if it is decreased, the pressure will increase. So the gas that will move from the region of higher concentration to the region of lower concentration. That's why the gases will move from the lung to outside, and that makes the expiration complete. So this is a process of inspiration and expiration. I hope you understand. So that's all about the process of breathing. Thank you.